Now, live from Washington, the Capitol Gang.
Welcome to Capitol Gang. I'm Al Hunt with Mark Shields, Robert Novak, and Mona Charen. This week's guest, Democratic political consultant, Mark Siegel. Thanks for coming in, Mark.
Thanks for inviting me.
Well, it's good to have you. President Bush, worried about slipping 3 days before the New Hampshire primary, returned to the state today to campaign personally against Pat Buchanan's challenge.
I really honestly believe that the people of New Hampshire are a little bit tired of all the negative advertisements and all the attack dog tactics coming from the left and coming from the right.
Speaking a few miles away in Manchester, this program's former moderator predicted a surprise on Tuesday.
Come Tuesday, the Buchanan brigades are going to run head-on into the hollow army of King George and cut through it like butter.
Last night's tracking by CNN, USA Today, Gallup shows Buchanan moving up with 34% of the vote to the president's 58%. Bob, how big a surprise can Pat pull Tuesday?
Well, the only surprise at this stage, Al, would be if Buchanan actually won the primary, which is possible, but I don't think it's going to happen. However, he's going to be very preciously close to that 40% mark, which is an embarrassment. And what this all shows is that the president is in a lot of political trouble. His whole campaign in New Hampshire has been ill-conceived for a state where retail campaigning is necessary. He didn't come up often enough. There is a tremendous cleavage in the conservative movement. And I'll tell you something, when a Republican president who claims he's a conservative campaigns for the second time against the right, criticizing the right, he's in trouble.
Marker?
Well, I'll say, Al, I talked to Tom Rath, the former Attorney General of New Hampshire, and a very wise Republican man who was supporting President Bush. He said, the electorate of this state is like I've never seen it before. It's angry, it's cynical, and it's full of rage. And he said people are convinced, voters are convinced that the system cares about them no longer. And who taps into that rage? I happen to think that Bob's understating what Pat can do on Tuesday. I think Pat Buchanan has tapped into something very real there. I think George Bush's tactics, quite to the contrary, have been mistaken. Bringing up Bill Bennett, Phil Graham, Bob Dornan, all wonderful Americans, but trying to court the right was not where George Bush had to go.
Mona, you agree or disagree?
No, I disagree. I think that George Bush thinks conservative principles are something you trot out once every 4 years, and that's how you win elections. The trouble is, he's got a record this time, and the economy reflects that. It's his fault. The New Hampshireites know it, and Bob's right. He's in deep trouble.
Mark, if Pat Buchanan were to get 40% of the vote or so, or even more, as Bob suggested, that really would be a very ominous signal.
It would be ominous, but I don't think it would change the world. I mean, there is no Republican Bobby Kennedy waiting to jump into this race, and George Bush is not going to pull a Lyndon Johnson and get out of the race. It will demonstrate that this incumbent Republican president is extremely vulnerable, put a lot of pressure on the Democrats to nominate an electable candidate.
Let me grab one more thing. In the Boston Globe interview with President Bush tomorrow, the president is quoted as saying in 1988 he never took the no-tax pledge in New Hampshire. Now, I was there. Am I just having hallucinations? Because I recall that was what won him that primary.
Of course, that's what he said, and it's in the same genre as saying he didn't ever use the voodoo economics charge in 1980. Remember, he denied that. He has a selective memory. But I would say that is a sign of desperation when he is trying to rewrite history.
Yeah, quite frankly, he says that he didn't take it, but of course he won the primary in large part because of lambasting Bob Dole for his failure, refusal to take it. So
Mona,
it's disingenuous
at best. Is that going to sit well with conservatives? I mean, saying I never promised that?
Well, look, conservatives are still smarting over the fact that he broke his word. Look, you can't deny that he said no new taxes, read my lips, right? And now now he's saying, well, I didn't even take the pledge in the first place. It's just adding insult to injury. We're not that stupid.
When a fifth of the electorate is out there undecided, this kind of an outrageous lie could really flip them more than 2-1. They're already breaking 2-1 for Buchanan. This could make it even worse.
I think George Bush saying he didn't take the pledge is a little bit like Jerry Ford in 1976 saying saying that Eastern Europe was not controlled by the Soviet Union. But, you know, let's stay on taxes.
They've been off balance on, Al, they have been off balance in this campaign from the beginning, from the minute Pat Buchanan got in. They still hadn't decided as of last week whether to put on a negative spot against Buchanan. Yeah. I understand that the president decided not to, and so now he's campaigning against negative spots.
They still hadn't decided as of yesterday, as a matter of fact. But meanwhile, on Capitol Hill, Democrats assail the president for abandoning middle-class tax cuts in his priority tax plan.
Does the White House really expect the Congress to support a bill giving tax cuts to high-income individuals and put off income tax relief for working Americans until a second bill?
House Democrats approved relief for 80% of all taxpayers, but the president, addressing construction workers, complained about their tax hike for the top 5%.
I've asked these good people here today to tell Congress not to send me a package that I have to veto, one carrying a tax increase.
Mona, who's the winner on this one, the president or the Democrats?
Neither. The voters are disgusted with what they see as this sort of inside the beltway bickering with people who are coming up with gimmicks and pandering to the electorate. The Democrats can't decide who's in the middle class. That's part of the problem. They keep aiming at their own voters. So I think that there's nobody who's going to win this. The lesson of this year is that the candidates who are serious about the economy and seem to have something serious to project, Tsongas, Buchanan, are the ones who are getting support.
Mark Shields, who do you think is going to win this?
I think Mona's right. I'd go even further. Not only neither one's a winner, they're both losers. They're both losers in the sense, Al, that first of all, you've got a Bush advisor being quoted as saying, we just had the State of the Union for New Hampshire consumption. That was it. And then you've got the powerful chairman of the Powerful Ways and Means Committee, a leading Democrat from Chicago, saying that you can bet your life after we come out with this tax package of ours, we'll be in the 92nd percentile of favorability. That's exactly what it is. They're playing gotcha. People in the real world, especially in New Hampshire, where people are hurting, where everybody knows somebody who's lost his job, and nearly everybody knows somebody who's lost their house, their home, are saying, hey, this is one more gamesmanship, one-upsmanship.
Mark Siegel, this should be a winner for the Democrats.
I think it is a winner for the Democrats.
You
first of all, well, substantively I disagree, and politically I strongly disagree. Tax is an easy issue to get demagogue. Ways and Means, really, the Democrats in Ways and Means started to act like a political party for the first time in 20 years. They really put it to the president. And I think since the Republicans have been pandering to the 5% of the country that's been rich for so long, it's nice that the Democrats are reaching out to the 80% of the country that's middle class.
Is that how we won?
I think you can express that.
Bob, have the Republicans been pandering to you?
When you talk about $400 for everybody, enough money for a set of tires, people know that isn't going to bring the economy around, but the amazing thing to me is that the tax issue, which is a strictly Republican issue, it has been since the time of the 1978 Kemp-Roth bill, that for President Bush to lose that issue for his party is incredible. So he is up there today saying we do have middle-class tax credits in the bill, and they got to pass it by the end of the year. The end of the year, not the March 20th. So that is disingenuous.
Did he make a mistake?
He didn't make a mistake. You mean in
abandoning that in the short term, in the short-term priority tax plan?
He has screwed it up from the very beginning because he started, of course, with the 1990 broken tax pledge, but he should have gone along with Senator Moynihan and cut the Social Security tax and pushed hard for capital gains cuts. Had that combination. But right now, Buchanan has got the edge on him on taxes.
Let me give Mona the last word on this.
Republicans can never beat Democrats when it comes to big spending, and Democrats should never be able to beat Republicans on tax cutting, but they are.
Okay, that's the last word on this one. Mark Siegel and the gang will be back with Paul Tsongas overtaking Bill Clinton in New Hampshire.
Capital Gang is brought to you by GE. From plastics to financial services, we bring good things to life.
It's Grand Central Station. It's Carnegie Hall. It's a late-night bistro and a banquet hall for 50. It's a GE Monogram kitchen with GE Monogram appliances.
An approach Merrill Lynch recommends. Our mutual funds help you prepare for the future. Our financial consultants can show you how. The moral is, tomorrow's comforts require today's preparation.
Pip Printing has just what every rapidly expanding business so desperately needs. Someone to handle all the paperwork. Pip Printing. Give us a call. We'll show you why we're the biggest business printer in the world.
Sunday, a Spanish museum with some ghastly displays, and it's causing an uproar over ethics. Why this mummified African may bring a curse of bad publicity. Then, Italy's flooded with Albanian refugees, and it wants to close the floodgate. How one program tries to make Albania a better place to live. And from Singapore, high fashion, government style. How a newly opened salon is dressing up the country's image. On CNN World Report, 3 p.m. Eastern, Sunday.
Welcome back. Bill Clinton stumbled after spending the last week before the New Hampshire Democratic primary fighting off draft evasion charges. He complained about his treatment by the news media and asked for vindication by the voters.
All I've been asked about by the press are a woman I didn't sleep with and a draft I didn't dodge. On Tuesday, New Hampshire can make history. Send a message to Washington and Wall Street and to the tabloids. Control your own destiny.
The new frontrunner, Paul Tsongas, put a different spin on Tuesday's vote.
On Tuesday, if we do well here, we change the Democratic Party forever. So all the Democrats who were into all the old nonsense about giveaway, 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 anti-business, corporate bashing, that will end.
Last night's tracking by CNN, USA Today, Gallup gives Tsongas 39%, Clinton 23%, and Tom Harkin a distant third with 14%. But there are some indications that Clinton may be staging a comeback. Mark, you have just returned from New Hampshire just hours ago. Has Clinton recovered enough to save his candidacy?
Let me tell you what's happened to Clinton. Bill Clinton was discovered, first of all, by the party pros and by the press, who found this rather remarkable electable fellow. And the electable tag was put on him before the voters put it on. Voters felt, my goodness, we finally found somebody with looks, brains, political skills, charm, all of these things.
And a terrific candidate.
And that's what I say, a terrific candidate.
Yeah.
And the electable thing is haunting him right now because there's grave doubts about whether, in fact, he is electable. And grave doubts extend far beyond New Hampshire. In Chicago, in the South, politicians are moving away from him. Let me just say one thing. I have not been accused of being a Bill Clinton groupie on the press bus. I've been certainly critical of him. This week, I thought he was an unwinding professional. I thought he showed real character in the way he handled the adversity. But I don't think it's enough to say
I want to add to that, because I was up in New Hampshire, too, and I've seen a lot of guys when they're in trouble. I saw George Bush when he looked like a scared deer after debating Ronald Reagan in 1980, and Bill Clinton, whatever you think of him, showed extraordinary character, I think, political character this week. Bob, you know, pick up on that.
I'm going to have to disagree with you on that, because I do think he's an extraordinary candidate, and to have two people like you make that assessment shows just how skillful he is. Because he is. No, because I really believe that although he came over as a man, I don't think he showed character. Because the first thing...
political character, but
the first thing, I don't think... the first thing he did when the attack came out on him is that he made accusations about the Pentagon releasing a letter. Went full scale on that, didn't come out. Then he makes this
of course,
attack.
Ted Koppel of ABC News told him that erroneously.
Yeah, but they kept pushing on it. He has always said that this is a Republican plot. It isn't a Republican plot. Now he says it's a Wall Street plot. I guess he means the Wall Street Journal.
No, he tempted us.
He said Wall Street. He broke in the commercial. But the trouble is right now that the whole story on the draft exemption, they got a lot of holes in it. He is a terribly flawed candidate. And I think what you're saying, Mark, is there's a lot of Democrats who wish that he would have fallen and gone into a free fall instead of resurrect himself.
And just because the hemorrhage has stopped doesn't mean that he's actually pulled back. He's probably going to lose his primaries substantially by about 10 points. And then there are 21 days in between New Hampshire and Super Tuesday, which is supposed to, quote, resurrect him, where there are 13 states where he doesn't really have great prospects outside of Maryland and Georgia, and those are fading.
Mona, Paul Tsongas, can you go all the way to New York?
Paul Tsongas, if he wins by a fairly substantial margin, if he just squeaks by, you know, if it's only, say, a 5 or 6 point margin between him and Clinton, then no. Then Benson is going to say he's got to jump in, or somebody else. But But people forget that the New Hampshire primary is the president launcher, or they don't forget it, but they tend to downplay Tsongas' possibilities because he's Greek and because he's from Massachusetts. I think if he has a substantial win, people will be willing to overlook that and make him the nominee.
Let me say a word about Tsongas, because, you know, everybody says he talks funny and he looks funny and he doesn't have charisma. But I'm not running for president. But the funny thing, what a lot of Democrats really hate about Tsongas, Mark, and I think is the fact that he is pro-business. He does not suck up to organized labor. He is for a capital gains tax cut. He is against corporate bashing. I think he says a lot of refreshing things. He's very liberal. He's much more liberal than I am on social issues, yeah. But he is talking sense economically.
Guys, I want to do this. I want to do a once around on the Republican and the Democrats. I want you to tell me who's going to win the Republican primary and what the percentage. Mark, what do you think?
I think Pat Buchanan could win, and he will be over 40%. He could hit 48.
Mona?
I think Buchanan will get 39% of the vote.
Mark?
Bush with 51% of the vote.
Wow. Bob?
I'm going to say that Buchanan will break the 40% mark.
I will say that George Bush will get 49% of the vote and barely win the New Hampshire primary. Let me ask you this. Does everyone agree the Democratic side will be Clinton? It'll be Clinton second and Tsongas first?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think there'll be a gap of about 15
Mark, 5
points.
seconds.
Okay, I just want to say, Bob said he wasn't running for president, and I was in a town in New Hampshire so small that they keep the Velveeta in the gourmet food section of the grocery store. Guy said, when is Novak going to run?
What'd you say? Next. Oh, no, we can't lose him. Next on Capital Gang, Democrats looking for a white knight.
He was 50 when it happened. In 3 months, he went from perfect vision to almost total blindness.
You know, you never appreciate the beauty in your life until you can't see it anymore. My wife, my family, my life. Everything I cared about just turned to darkness. And no one could tell me why.
In test after test, doctors were at a loss.
I can't find a thing.
There seemed to be no answers. Finally, a test was done using GE's revolutionary magnetic resonance imager. It lets doctors see things that ordinary tests and x-rays can't. Look at this. Incredible. The doctors discovered a tumor affecting his optic nerves, and he was treated. Within days, he got his vision back.
Hey, what a smile.
And everything that came with it.
So you get to go to Asia on business for 2 weeks.
I'll try to call you every day.
Try?
It's not always easy overseas.
Well, I'm going to make it easy for you.
USA Direct.
AT&T USA Direct service, another way AT&T can help you from practically anywhere.
Every country you're going to has a special number. You just dial it and get right back here to an AT&T operator.
And more importantly,
me.
For a free USA Direct information card, call 1-800-874-4000.
It's a voyage of technological artistry, created through scientific thought, designed on a space-aged canvas, producing a manufacturing phenomenon. It's the Soloflex muscle machine. Call now and take your body on an incredible voyage to renewed beauty. Soloflex, 21st century design for today's needs.
Welcome back. If Paul Tsongas wins New Hampshire, is he the front runner? Paul Tsongas doesn't think so.
I'm not the front runner. Bill Clinton has raised 3 times as much money as I have.
Democrats unhappy choosing between Tsongas and Clinton are seeking a savior. On Capitol Hill, lawmakers pleaded with 2 colleagues, House Majority Leader Richard Gephardt and Texas Senator Lloyd Bentsen. And New York Governor Mario Cuomo just happened to travel to nearby Harvard to bash Bush and refused to discourage write-in votes for him in New Hampshire.
In my own state, they're saying lousy things about me. If they want to say nice things in New Hampshire, I'm going to encourage them.
Mark Siegel, is it too late for a new candidate to be nominated by the Democrats?
No, logistically and politically, it's not too late. It will be difficult, but there are still filing deadlines open in a dozen states. 10 after the New Hampshire primary. 400 delegates are selected by caucus and convention. They're there. 740 are selected as super delegates. And then there's always picking over cadavers of candidates who are out of the race. A person can do it if they would get in soon, and I think there's growing pressure, especially on Dick Gebhardt, to make a decision early, and I wouldn't be surprised if he made a yes or no decision very soon after the New Hampshire results were in.
Mona, is it a pipe dream?
Well, the Democrats are dying to win this year, which is why there was such a boom for Clinton. They thought that he could beat Bush. If they nominate somebody like Gebhardt, they're going to lose again. Remember how Gebhardt did in 1988.
Well, I don't know if Gebhardt would win or lose, Mark, but the idea of congressional insiders trying to pick a nominee right now, as it seems to me, is exactly what will turn the American people off.
Well, I think Mark Siegel put his finger on it, though, and that is, Al, it isn't simply a matter of arithmetic, it's a matter of chemistry. I mean, we saw it in 1976 when Jimmy Carter came close. I mean, but for his pulling out on the last day, Ohio, he lost New Jersey, lost California. It could have been a stampede against him if, in fact, the party leadership had not rallied at that point to his side. I don't think that's going to be the case in 1992 if, in fact, the front runner looks like somebody who's going to go down and go down badly.
Do you think Gebhardt or Benson will get in quickly?
Do I think Gebhardt or Benson?
Or Benson?
I think it's an awfully awkward thing to do. I have not reported it. I don't know.
Bob, let me get you to
Bob
start off with Mario Cuomo. You know the governor very well. What's he doing right now?
Mario wants to play an end game. He wants to wait till it's all done. All the primaries are done, and then after April come in. I don't think that can be done at all. I don't think you think it can be done. See, what's happening on the Hill right now, you have to go back to Clinton. I think maybe in the last segment we gave Bill too much of a clean bill of health.
Okay.
Because I think Clinton has not given a straight story on the draft. It's not that he avoided the draft.
I agree with you on that.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
He's given him multiple stories, and people think he's lying, and that's why I think he is dead. They had a bunch of political operatives went to Speaker Foley last week and said, with Clinton on the ticket, they will lose 40 Democratic seats in the House of Representatives. So that's why these House members are going for Gebhardt. The senators want to go to Benson. But the thing with Benson is Benson will not go in until he sees Bill Clinton's body lying dead in the dirt.
Well, one thing is this saga will continue for weeks and weeks and weeks. Mark Siegel, thanks for being with us. The gang will be back with the outrage of the week.
On CNN tomorrow, thinking of taking a cruise? Come aboard one of the Love Boats on Travel Guide. Then on the menu, health concerns over coffee, but no grounds to support them. All tomorrow on CNN.
We are the spark in the engine, the switch in the night, a voice in the dark from a million miles away. We are the beats and the splash, the flicks and the flash. We are GE, we are the good things you hear and see. We bring good things to life.
An interesting thing is happening to driving enthusiasts. They're multiplying, and that's a blessed event for the Saab 9000 Turbo, which not only does 0 to 60 faster than a BMW 535i, but has one of the roomiest interiors of any imported sedan. The Saab 9000 Turbo, the sports sedan you grow into, not out of.
Listen to the trees. They're trying to tell us something about what our polluted air is doing to them and to us. Fortunately, there's an answer. Natural gas, the cleanest burning fossil fuel we have. It can help save the air and everything that lives in it. Listen to the trees, because air pollution is a problem hanging over all of us. Use natural gas, and we'll all breathe easier.
Shop for quality gifts with your free Turner Store catalog. Call 1-404-827-2500.
And now for the outrage of the week. Debates are a vital part of our presidential election process. Over the past 3 decades, television has played a critical role in these encounters. On March 5th, it's ABC Network's turn to conduct a debate of the Democratic contenders. Unlike NBC, PBS, CNN, and CBS, however, ABC is going to delay telecasting this debate until 11:30 p.m. Apparently, ABC considers raking in revenues from its primetime fare more important than presidential elections.
That's my bedtime. The Bush administration this week showed once more it would rather join than fight the liberals. The Securities and Exchange Commission ordered companies to let shareholders help limit corporate pay. A Republican SEC ought to be counted on not to join in business bashing and to keep its hands off private business.
Critiquing the ice skating on CBS this week, former East German star Katharina Witt lamented the demise of the Soviet Union. She was sorry, she said, for the Russian skaters who wouldn't hear the Soviet anthem played in their honor. Ms. Witt was among the pampered and privileged elites of the corrupt communist system. As such, her regret of the triumph of democracy is understandable. The outrage is that Katharina's fellow commentators at CBS seem to agree.
It's still not as bad as ABC running at 11:30 at night. This bears repetition, Al. Remember the 1988 New Hampshire primary, which George Bush won and Bob Dole lost, when the last-minute TV blitz by Bush accused Dole of refusing to sign the new taxes pledge? Well, it was in today's Boston Globe. Mr. Bush disclosed that he himself never took the no new taxes pledge in 1988 in New Hampshire. So Bush was condemning Dole for not doing what Bush hadn't done either. Where is the line between dissembling and disinformation, Bob?
Let me ask you a question. What is Bob Dole thinking tonight?
Bob Dole,
Senator.
Wouldn't you love to have him here right now? Bob Dole has the compassion of Mother Teresa and the altruism of Bob Novak, and so it's probably his two natures.
Bob, I just want to thank you for protecting those corporate executives.
Yes,
and shareholders.
Bob.
I mean, democracy would be a terrible thing.
I hope you understand it's not a question of how much they get. It's the principle of interfering in the business sector.
I like your principles, Robert.
So
this
good.
is Al Hunt saying good night for the Capitol Gang.
Scoundrels and Skaters and Campaign 92. That was the Capitol Gang for this week. I'm Jonathan Mann at the CNN Center in Atlanta. CNN Weekend continues with this news. A Milwaukee jury today said Jeffrey Dahmer was sane when he killed and mutilated 15 men and boys. Dahmer now will be sentenced to life in prison rather than being sent to a mental hospital. Today's verdicts are a victory for prosecutor Michael McCann and the end of an ordeal for the families of Dahmer's victims.
I am just overwhelmed by that verdict. I want to thank the jurors. I want to thank Mr. McCann and his staff. They gave a powerful, powerful argument, and I just thank them so much for it because they brought back the faith that I lost in the justice system.
The jurors deliberated for 10 hours before reaching their verdict. Well, on a happier note, Sports Saturday is coming up in a few minutes on CNN Weekend. We get a preview now from Hannah Storm.
Boy, was it a day of upsets, Jonathan. We have a couple of them in the Olympics, one in the women's downhill event, and also one in men's figure skating. We'll tell you all about that, and we'll also hear from the winners of the medals for the USA. Also, some big upsets in college basketball. Some ranked teams fall, and we'll have a preview of the Daytona 500. The green flag drops on Sports Saturday in just a moment.
Well, we'll be watching. First, though, let's check the weather.
Get back on track. Choose Medicab Pharmacy. You'll enjoy instant access to your pharmacist. No searching, no waiting, no racing against time. Just instant service, instant savings, instant attention. So avoid running into delays by taking the convenient way. Medicab Pharmacy. All the care, all the savings, all now.
A Midwest tradition for 20 years. The largest collection of fine art. The National Wildlife Art Show, a benefit for the conservation of America's wildlife habitat. Come view and buy paintings, prints, wood carvings, and sculptures from over 60 internationally acclaimed artists. The National Wildlife Art Show, February 21st, 22nd, and 23rd at the Doubletree Hotel in Overland Park, Kansas.